Welcome back to the Unapologetic Podcast. I've had to say this now a number of times because to me it sounds really weird. So, anyways, welcome back. We are going to talk about launching today, which I find is either people's, like, they kind of love the topic, they're into it, or you fucking absolutely hate it and you're like, no, I want no part of this. Either way, I want you to stay and listen because I want to change your mind on it. I think of launching a lot different. How very surprising. That comes as a shock to zero people listening right now. So I think of it very different than the majority of people online. And it really doesn't have to be this thing with so much pressure and just so so much pressure, really. That's like the biggest part of it. And it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. That's, I find, what a lot of the time gives people the feeling of the pressure is that it's not looking like so and so's. It's not going as well. Why is she getting the results she's getting? What the fuck is like, what's wrong with me? And all of that is getting in your head. And I have worked through this with so many clients, so many, and I love doing work with launches, setting them up, working on the mindset shit, all of that because it doesn't, it really, it's something that, selling, promoting, launching, all of that is a thing that we're going to have to do in business, but it doesn't have to feel like you're just dreading it every single time. So, the first thing here, what works for one person is not going to work for everyone. That's like if you take away nothing else, that's, it's one of the biggest takeaways. And let's talk about the YAP challenge for a second. I know, personally, I am so over it. I have not actually seen much about it for a while now. Praise be. However, this, like, I have nothing against the woman that created it. Like, nothing, no problem with that. And like, it's amazing that she made all that money. That is all fine. The problem that I have is people who are thinking that that is going to be their way to success. If you just copy what she's doing, that's going to be how you're going to get successful too. And that goes back to the whole what works for one is not going to work for everyone. You cannot copy anybody's thing. You really, really can't. It's why so many of these copy my 10-step funnel, copy my strategy, like whatever. None of this shit works. Absolutely none of it. None of it works. It's all about finding what actually works for you, feels good for you, is going to work for your specific business, for the people that you actually want to work with. And I'm going to go into all of that. But that is really like what is going to work best. It is not watching how someone else is doing it or trying to copy them or, imitate what they did. None of that. And I mean, I've said it before so many times. It is just finding what's going to work for you. And like I've had to say to clients before that I literally I don't give a shit what anyone else is doing. I really, really don't because it doesn't matter for your business. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter what Susie's doing. It doesn't matter what whoever. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I've no, like, generally speaking, I really don't know like, I know, but I don't because I'm not looking at this thinking like, how do I incorporate this into my business and do the exact same thing? That's not, no. The way that I am always looking at things is like, what is the data in my business? What is this telling me? How do I look at what worked before? How do I use that and repeat it so that it works better the next time? It's all of those things. So we're going to go over today after that kind of soapbox rant, finding what works best for your business, the people you want to work with, like what's going to resonate with them. And I have a few different, things to go over with that. And thinking about your personal energy levels, your life, like all of that comes into play with this. And I mean, there's more, but that's what we're going over today. So when we're thinking about this, best for your business, not thinking about what anyone else is doing, doesn't matter. For you, what has worked in the past? And now, with a caveat here, because yes, things change over time, but we can look at this and see what has worked best for you in the past. Is it, when you're launching and you're either getting leads into a program or it's the way that you are actually selling people and getting them like to say yes? What really, really worked well? Was it getting them on calls? Was it doing a challenge? Was it doing master classes or a workshop? Or was it a private podcast? Or like, what was it? Did you just market on Instagram? Did you market on Facebook? Did you, you know, sell through your website? Do you have really good SEO? Um, do you sell on your podcast? Like, there's so many ways this could look, literally. But it's looking at what has worked best for you in the past, referrals. Did you go into communities, networking, like all of these things? So we're really looking at all of that. And this is also why I am so crazy about having things really well documented so that you can actually look back and see what worked instead of trying to guess and remember and be like, oh, I think I did this last time, but maybe it was this. And I don't really know how many people I got on calls or how many converted. Like, when you have a solid plan and you can actually see the numbers, you can actually see what's happening, then that's something that you can also work forward from, right? You can go back the next time, then you can look at, okay, what worked well? What do we want to keep doing? What didn't work so well? What do we want to get rid of? All of that. That also kind of takes away this whole looking outside of yourself and looking at what other people are doing because you can actually see what has worked for you. And it makes it easier to see the things that are working instead of being like, well, I don't know what worked. Maybe nothing worked. And then you do start looking at, well, maybe I should try, this other thing. Or maybe this person has this secret strategy and there are no secrets. None of that fucking exists. So don't get duped by that. Have your plan. Keep track of this. Data is another huge one, and these tie together, but it's really like, where are your leads coming from? And conversion rates, looking at all of these things. But for the leads, like the platforms, the communities or networking, referrals, your podcast, if you have one, or if you have a blog or your website and SEO, like what is really driving leads into your business? And then where are they converting? What are your conversion rates at? What is all of that looking like? When you can really break down the data and see what's happening, that's when you can also look at the right things to adjust, the right things to fix, and you're not chasing, you know, I'm getting no traffic, or I need to post more on Instagram when really your leads are coming from Facebook. And if you would focus there, you would get a lot more. But then all of a sudden you get distracted and you go posting on Instagram. We don't need to do that, right? But when you have this data and you can see what's going on, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to have a much more successful launch or promotion or whatever you want to call it. You don't even have to call it a launch. That's the other thing with this. For one of my clients, we stopped calling it launching because she was like, launching just makes me super anxious. So we stopped calling it that. Don't call it that. It doesn't have to be called that. Call it promoting something because that's what you're doing. You're selling an offer. It doesn't have to be launching, you know, that's for data. Now, thinking about this is another one. What makes sense for this specific service or offer or product that you are selling right now? And I have seen this happen so many times, especially lately. And I've had people come to me wanting me to help them set up ads for things. And I know how to set up ads. I've set up my own, I've set them up for clients. I've gotten really good results with ads many times. The thing is, it has to make sense. And like we see ads all the time. Do you have to do them? No, you fucking 10,000% do not. You don't. And like, I have seen this where someone will come with a low ticket digital product and they want to dump a bunch of money into ads. That does not make any sense. And that's like the first thing that they're trying. Don't do that. Do not do that. You have to test this first. Test it organically first, please, for the love of God, before you put a bunch of money in it. And that goes for like pretty much everything. I really hate seeing when people are told, just do ads, like, and it's almost like ads are going to solve everything. I'm like, that is some of the worst fucking advice that I see people getting. And it's also given by people who have no idea how to set up and run and analyze ad data. And it's just like, please stop. Please stop doing this. Because there's so much that goes into that. You do not need them. Can you use them? Potentially. But there's a lot of things to consider. Will it pay off? Is it the right thing for what you are selling or for like even a lead magnet? You can do ads that drive, people to your lead magnet to get leads, obviously. But it's really thinking about whether this actually makes sense. And sometimes it just doesn't. It just does not. So, really, what makes sense to do as a launch plan for this thing that you are selling? Now, moving on, people you want to work with. Who are these people? Who are you wanting to work with? This is something that you know, sometimes I think is kind of skipped over because we're just like, I want to sell the thing. And so we just get into like selling mode and we don't think about any of the other kind of aspects that play into that, like what I'm going to go over here. So, examples that I like to give, especially for thinking about a lead magnet that leads into the offer that you're selling. And I've said this a number of times because I have worked with clients who the like their audience is moms, right? So if it's a mom who has young kids and, this mom's taking them to a million sports, she's also working during the day, she has like a ton of shit going on, right? I can guarantee, being a mom myself, I do not have time at night, well, likely, to sit down and watch a masterclass or a workshop like at night. I am not going to do that. I am like, I am not going to do that. I'm not going to be able to concentrate on it. I'm going to be interrupted all the time, or I'm going to be like having other things that I need to do. And that's not happening. So think about whether this is like actually makes sense. Something that I've suggested so many times to clients who have worked with even like people who are really busy, private podcasts or some kind of an audio. You can listen to it on the go. Then it doesn't matter what the hell they're doing, right? That's something that can work very well. But again, it depends on your business. This all very much depends on your business. And I mean, if you want to talk about it together, you can absolutely book a call and we can do that. But these are ideas that, and things to think about because you don't want to be creating this thing, thinking it's going to go so well, but you're not thinking about these other aspects of it. And then it doesn't go like you wanted it to, but it's because you didn't keep in mind who you're actually trying to sell to. The other thing that I like to think of is, a lot of people, if you are someone who has like a B2C business, so I've worked with lots of um, fitness coaches, for example, and their clients generally don't own businesses. Like there are people who work during the day, normal jobs, whatever, and they're working during the day, right? This comes into play in a number of ways. Again, don't schedule shit during the day. And I mean this as in, if you're going to do any type of like lead magnet, like a master class, a workshop, something like that, don't schedule it during the day. I've seen this happen so many times. And then people are disappointed with the number of people who even register because even if you have a recording that's going out, if people see the time and they can't make it, um, this will happen quite a bit. They won't even register because it doesn't work for them. And so it's almost giving them this sign that this is not going to be flexible or not going to be the thing that is going to work for, their life, their needs, what they actually are looking for. Because if something is scheduled during the day and they can't do that, how is the thing that you are selling going to be able to work for them in their life if the free thing already doesn't work? So it's really like considering how these things all connect. Now, another way that this is relevant, if your clients aren't business owners, they're probably not on social media during the day. I know, like, yeah, maybe some people are checking some things, blah, 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 but they're not sitting on their phone and, scrolling through Instagram, looking at stories, doing whatever. They're not checking things a whole ton. And I had one of my clients ask her, one of her clients, how often she goes on social media, just so that we could check this. And she asked a couple of them. And they said, it was every couple days. And I said to her, because she was trying to sell something, and I said to her, okay, so even though you are posting things, you're posting them on your stories, and like you have the posts going out and all of this, if someone is only going on social media every couple of days, your stories are expiring. They may or may not see your post because, like, what the fuck is the algorithm? Who knows? Who knows what's going on there? And like the number of times people have to see shit before they actually, you know, buy or become engaged with it or sign up or whatever has gone up exponentially. So if they're seeing it, let's say they go on 3, 4 times in a week and they're not even going to see your shit every single time, you have to post it a hell of a lot more. And this doesn't mean that you have to like post the same thing for months and months or like it's not going to work, but it's just kind of reframing your mindset around what is happening, why people might not be, engaging on it right away, why they might not be registering right away, why you might not see the uptake immediately like you might be expecting. People just aren't seeing it. So it's another reason to just talk about your shit fucking way more. Way, way more. I saw like the best reel today. I loved it so much. It was this girl, and she has a business in Canada actually, and um she sells a bunch of stuff. It's like soaps and like cleaning stuff, and it's a whole ton of shit, but it's the way she shows like the way it's made and all of this. It's really cool. And anyways, she was replying to someone who had left a comment, and it said, all of your content is like an ad. And she was like, no shit. This is my business page. What are you expecting it to be? Yes, it's like an ad because you came to my business page. It's just like if you walked into a store somewhere, and you see all the prices there or like whatever. Yeah, they want to sell you shit. It's the same damn thing. Yes, this is an ad because you are looking at the stuff that I'm selling you because this is my business. So, you kind of got to think about that when you're thinking about how many times do I need to talk about this or how am I being annoying or anything like that. No. You are especially if you are asking that question, you're not being annoying. If you are even considering that question, you are definitely not being annoying. Because people who are being annoying about it would never ask themselves that. It's so true. They wouldn't. But I loved so much that she said that and she made the whole reel about it and was like, yes, this is a fucking ad because, yeah, it should be. Sell your shit. That's how we make money. That's how we're going to sell things, right? So, especially if you have clients that are not on social media all day, not on however you're marketing all day. And I mean, for some things that's impossible. If it's through emails, how are you on that all day? You gotta talk about it all the time, way more, right? And it still will affect like the timeline of launches. This is not 2020. It's really not where someone, oh my God, could put something out and, it would be sold right away and there would be like the 4-day launch and it would just sell out and whatever and it was absolute shit and it didn't even matter because people would buy it anyways. But I mean, everyone was stuck at home and it was COVID and I guess what else did you have to do? I don't know. I'm really glad that that is over. But times aren't like that anymore. And people are also very distracted. So all of this, all of that, you have to think about in terms of launching, selling, promoting. And this isn't to be like, oh my God, it's going to be so hard. This is really to release some pressure on you from thinking this should be so easy and this should be so immediate and this should happen, right away in the minute that I put something out because no, it doesn't happen for anyone. And no, it did not happen with the yapping challenge. No, it did not. There's a lot of context to that, which I'm not going into all of that. Anyways, that's about the people that you are selling to. Now, your energy levels. Let's just talk about this for a second. Because this is another big one that I've talked about with clients many times. You really have to be honest with yourself. And I mean, I admit I do this too. And I'm like, oh no, I can definitely push and I could post like all this shit and what. No, be really honest with yourself because otherwise you're going to get to a point where you are going to hate your fucking life and then you're not going to be able to finish out the launch or the promo period or whatever it is that you are doing. Be honest with yourself right from the beginning. And that's why having a plan is a really good idea. So then you can actually spread all of these things out. And it's not like day one, you're, high energy and all of this shit is coming out and you're so excited and da 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 da. And, the plan is post 5 times a day and then, by day 3, you're like dying on the couch. This is like, I have seen so many people that get sick during a launch or a promo period because they've pushed so much harder than they would during just like a regular sales period, which is just like regular time in your business, because they're trying to do so much more and you don't have to. It's just like talk about the one thing that you want to sell. Like that's really the shift, you know, and whatever is associated with that, the lead magnet and, the things that make sense to talk about with the thing that you are selling. But it doesn't have to be this thing where you go like 0 to 1 million and then you make yourself sick from it and plan it out. So then too, like, if you do have podcasts that you're going on or groups that you're speaking in or whatever you have planned out, you can actually spread those out throughout the period so that you are not wearing yourself out during this time. And for real, just because someone else can apparently post 5 times a day, that doesn't mean that you have to. It doesn't mean that you have to, and it doesn't mean that you won't be successful. Also remember that people who do that have a team. They have a team. If you don't have a team, don't expect yourself to operate as if you have a 10-person team when you don't, because that's another way that you are just going to put yourself straight into burnout. And, don't set up your launch as if you have a huge team that is helping you do the whole thing. Set it up. However, if it's just you, what is your capacity? What can you handle? What can you do? If you have a small team, what does that look like? It's not, oh, because this person did this, then I must be able to. We don't know the context for anything about their business, and we do not care. Have you seen Melanie? We do not care. If you haven't, go look at her reels. But this applies here too. We don't care what Susie is doing, what Sarah's doing. We don't care. Okay? We're not going to pretend like we have a 10-person team when we do not. Make it for yourself. What works for you, period. And that's the biggest thing, is finding what actually works for you, regardless of what anyone else is doing. And that's the way that this is actually going to feel good. That's the way that this is going to stop feeling like complete shit and you're going to dread it every single time. That's that's what it comes down to, is really finding the way that it works for you and doing business in general your way. Period. The end. So, if you want to talk about launching more, that is our topic this month for Tech Help Desk. And you can join us on Wednesday. I believe it is Wednesday, August 12th, is Tech Help Desk. So, I will leave the link for that in the show notes. It is free. You can come join us, and we just have an open discussion about it together. And, we can talk about the systems, the tech, the automations, all of that, as well as the strategy behind it, how you're feeling about launches, any of that, and have a real discussion about it. So come join. And if you want to set up a solid launch system and strategy for one of your offers, you can join me and do the 6-week intensive. Right now it's $500 off until the end of August. So you can take advantage of that. And we work together one-on-one for 6 weeks and set up what you need in order to have a successful launch or promo of your offer, if that's what you choose to use it for. So you can do that. If you would like to do that, you can start with a free strategy and system session, and then we can discuss it there and really what that looks like for you. So the link to that as well will be in the show notes. All right, that is it. That's all I got today for launching. If you have questions, just message me. I'll obviously. I'd love if you would give the podcast a 5-star rating and a review. Would be so appreciated. And as always, go after everything that you fucking want and be unapologetic about it.